Your thoughts on the Davante Adams acquisition by the Jets are what?
For the player, I'm surprised because he is under contract till 26, and I'm no contract whiz or cap guru, but I know that reuniting with your friend is great, but what if it's only 12 weeks? What if it's only, the rest of the season? What if it's one more year and there you are again? What if I don't know. So for the player, he must know that Rodgers plans to be around next year. To me, if Rodgers is like, hey, this is it, I don't know if I'm going to forego, as a 32-year-old, precious time to spin the wheel and say who's going to replace Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a good sign if you want Aaron Rodgers around. And if you watched the game last night, and I was a vocal proponent of him going somewhere else, but you understand why the Jets make the move, right? They don't have a choice. Everybody there's on borrowed time. You got an interim head coach in the building, the whole thing. So I understand why you make the move. I can imagine Garrett Wilson now on the second best cover guy in a third and medium situation. You saw Taron Johnson walk up on him, try to press him last night, how easy that is for Garrett Wilson. You see them play the Broncos, Surtain takes him away, and the offense is completely different. So you think about Devonte Adams and having him all alone on one side of the formation, and that's scary. It is scary because Rodgers, he can still sling it. Some of the high-quality throws he's made this year have been some of the best I've seen all season. For me, it's his mobility that I worry about, and obviously the structure of the entire offense, which looked better last night under Todd Downing. Okay, so part of me is coming away and saying, what was the problem with letting Hackett go? Because in the first half of that game especially, it looked like a revelation. And I think the big question for me is, how good can this offense look if he has now two guys that he trusts? Because Lazard isn't a world beater, but Rodgers can make him look very good because he trusts him, and he'll throw him the ball, and they understand each other. And, it's like that ball that he just buried into a sea of bodies last night. And I think he put it on Bernard's hip. And Lazard's like, wow, the ball's exactly where it'd have to be. And juxtaposed to Mike Williams at the end of the game, not running inside the red line, or however Rodgers put it, there are these trust issues that keep popping up. And at the end of two games now, you've had to go to Mike Williams. So I look at this as hey, what do we have to do to be able to compete? This does not fix the run defense, which is below average. This does not fix the offensive line, to me, which is kind of an average group. This doesn't fix the running game, although it could take some pressure off the running game. I thought Breece Hall looked good again last night, and he's had his moments. But what it does is, in conversion situations, makes this team a little scarier. Now, they've dug themselves a hole here, but I think part of the reason you make the trade is, here's who you got the rest of the season: Pittsburgh, New England, Houston, Arizona, Indy, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, Buffalo, Miami. Okay, so that's rapid fire, but I'll just tell you, 3 out of 10 of the remaining teams, I believe, have winning records that they play. And when you look at the wild card, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, Indy, current players in the wild card race, the Bengals and the Jets are the most serious challengers, in my opinion. And so when you look at the schedule, the remainder of the year, you can get to the bye week and be 500 or above, or just below 500. I think that's the way they're looking at it. And if they can get to that bye week in good shape, then they can justify making this trade, shore some things up on defense. But I will tell you, what the Bills did last night on that first drive was a pummeling.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Chris, is we're looking at the schedule here too. That makes the game against Pittsburgh and Indianapolis huge if these are teams that you're going to have to be better than or have a tiebreaker over in a wild card situation. Certainly, they already lost to Denver, which is at 3-3, a game and a half in front of them there. And your point about what the Bills did to start the game, I mean, your defensive coordinator just got elevated in a shock, to the interim HC, and you basically allow a rookie running back to just run right down your throat. And then that's the question I have about what Davante Adams is going to bring. Obviously, it's going to bring optimism. It's going to bring hope. in this conversation, Chris. Rodgers and Davante just appeared together on our friend McAfee's show, and they're looking like, happy, and they don't look 2-4. You know what I mean? Like, that's all going to be well and good. The question is, what does happen when rubber meets the road? Well,
the question for me is it's a 2-win team that has not figured out how to win football games. And it's obvious to me that the quarterback alone, who is one of the best to ever do it, is not enough to get people lined up right. It's not enough to get people on the same page in the passing game. You can fire Saleh. The same thing showed up last night. And I'm a big fan of Jeff Ulbrich, but now Jeff Ulbrich's got the headset, and he's worried about game situations and that sort of thing. How much does that take him away from what he does really well, which is the defense? And now you're down Robert Saleh. So you might add something into the offensive bucket, and they might be hell on wheels to defend on 3rd and medium, but it doesn't make them a formidable rushing group, like an elite rushing offense. It doesn't make them an elite rush defense. They have the guys outside that can cover. They can take pretty much whoever they want away to a degree, but you still have to stop the run late in the season. And is this a win if they go to the playoffs and get bounced the first round? Because there's always a chance you got to go to Baltimore, who's running for 6 yards a pop. The Chargers are running the ball. The Chiefs are physical. They've got cover guys outside. They have a scheme defensively and confuse you. The Bills, the team you just played, had their way with you on the ground with a 24-year-old rookie that nobody even knew was really going to be a feature in the game. So what happens when you see the Bills again? They get some guys back defensively. So I am looking at this from both sides. I think from one side, I see why you do it. And ultimately, that side's the only side that matters when you're coaching for your life, when you're playing for your life, when you're GMing for your life, you make this move. But, as an analyst, I look at it and I say, is it enough to catapult them into a place where I think they're contenders? And I mean, like, if they had home field advantage and the matchups fell right, they got Aaron Rodgers, now they got Devonte Adams, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall. They have a really solid defense that has flaws. But let's say you got to go on the road. And, to win a Super Bowl, you have to be very good at matching up with multiple different teams. And I think adding a strength like this is good, but the weaknesses remain. And so we'll see. I mean, it's going to play out over the course of the season. Hopefully for the Jets, we're still having this conversation in December, because that would mean they don't lay 3 eggs in the next 5 weeks.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.